So Shabbat Shalom, and thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here with you. And when I type the well-known Israeli expression, "Ma shlomech" or "Ma shlomcha" into Google Translate, I got the translation I expected. How are you? Wanting other options and deeper understanding of the phrase in English, however, I turned to artificial intelligence. That was my first attempt to work with artificial intelligence. So I was asking, why are peace and welfare the same Hebrew word, shalom? ChatGPT is answering, the Hebrew word shalom is often translated as peace, but it goes beyond just the absence of conflict. In Hebrew, shalom encompasses a broader concept that includes wellness, wholeness, harmony, and completeness. The idea is that true peace is not just the absence of strife, but the presence of well-being in all aspects of life. Again. Thank you so very much. I love this interpretation of peace. Did you think about it yourself, or someone else, let's say a text, helped you? ChatGPT is answering. I would love to answer this, but it seems that you are not subscribed for the pro version and have no more free chat left. Please upgrade to unlock unlimited access. So having made a note to ask the IT guy at Hebrew Union College to sign me up for the pro version, I carried on my own investigation. But before I share with you the fascinating ideas that I discovered, let us delve into the profound meaning of the question. Could I ask you all to turn to the person sitting next to you and ask, "Ma shlomech," for the feminine, "Ma shlomcha," masculine, "Ma shlomchem," plural. Answer briefly, but seriously, taking in mind the deep meaning of shalom. You have 3 minutes to pose the question in Hebrew if you can, and in English if you wish, and 1.5 minutes each to respond, okay? So you have 3 minutes altogether. Ma shlomech, ma shlomcha, and answer it seriously and deeply. So now you can switch. Ma shlomech, ma shlomcha, ma shlomchem, the profound meaning of shalom. Thank you. Isn't it great just to check on Ma Shlomeinu? Let me now share some of my discoveries. Without any need for AI, a visit to the synagogue on Shabbat morning to listen to the Torah reading will promptly reveal that although distinctly Israeli, the question, Ma Shlomcha, originates in the Torah. After his brothers sell Joseph to the Ishmaelites, who take him to Egypt, he is given responsibility for the whole country. A famine in Canaan forces his brothers, who don't recognize him, to Egypt for food. In the midst of this family and personal pain, a link is forged between the concepts of peace and well-being. The despised, banished brother, the son whose family sold him but never looked for him, becomes a successful young man, unburdened by resentment. Joseph asks about his father's peace from a place of profound personal pain. And now I will quote from Bereshit, Genesis 43. When Joseph came home, they, his brothers, presented to him the gift that they had brought with them into the house, bowing low before him to the ground. He greeted them and he said, "How is the peace of your aged father, of whom you spoke? Is he still in good health?" And in Hebrew, Vayomer Hashalom Avichem Hazaken. And the Babylonian Talmud records a midrash about Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai, the son of Zakkai, a sage defined by his love of peace, who serves me and many others as a spiritual guide to our pursuit of peace. As the Jewish zealots were fighting the Romans and each other in Jerusalem, Rabbi Yochanan sought to preserve the Jewish community, leaving the besieged city. He approached the Roman general Vespasian, who later became emperor, with the famous request, "Give me Yavne and its sages." In an extraordinary sacrificial act, he gave up Jerusalem for a small, unimportant place, Yavne. And I'm quoting from the Babylonian Talmud Brachot. They said about Rabban Yochanan, the son of Zakkai, that nobody ever greeted him first, meaning nobody blessed him with shalom first, not even a non-Jew in the marketplace. This short legend is tinged with humor. I imagine Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai walking in the market, turning his head in every direction and never stop saying shalom, shalom, shalom to strangers. Rabban Yochanan was such a staunch believer in the peace that he always asked about the welfare of others, Jew or non-Jew, before they had the chance to ask about his. I think he understood that true peace is not one of things or merely the absence of war. True peace should be our daily experience. We should practice peace. He thus made it his habit to greet everyone with peace, even when conventional courtesy dictated that the other person should initiate the greeting. He did not wait, permeating every context with the consciousness of peace. In these difficult days, my activist friends and I find ourselves Facing particularly tough challenges, I'm not sure if being a peace activist in Israel was ever easy. It wasn't. But it is doubly difficult in this current climate of unprecedented threat, war, and justification of retaliation. Rabbi Jonathan has asked me to briefly present the theme of my new historical novel, The Last Jewish Woman of Cyprus, published last year in Hebrew, I'm sorry for that, which explores the diaspora revolt, a lesser-known 2nd century CE war between the years 115 and 117, which ended in failure in all centers where it took place: Kyrene, present-day Libya, Egypt, and Salamis in Cyprus. Rather surprisingly, the Jews in the land of Israel were uninvolved and unaffected by the diaspora revolt, and the land of Israel was not at the epicenter of the events. This raises questions regarding the causes of the rebellion. Make us re-examine all Jewish rebellions in the 1st and 2nd centuries CE. Did the 3 revolts that occurred within a span of 70 years, the destruction of the Second Temple Rebellion, the Diaspora Rebellion, and the Bar Kokhba Rebellion, share common motive? If they do, it was not freedom in the land of Israel, since the Diaspora Revolt took place outside the land. I started writing the book when my son, Daniel, whom you already know, was drafted into the IDF, and I realized how big and painful is the gap between my worldview and the reality in which I raised my son. When I could no longer bear the pain, the fear, and the gap, I turned to writing and to the distant past. The heroine of my book is Shalom, a mother of a Cypriot Jewish soldier in the diaspora revolt. Together with her, I worry and cry. And together with her, I understand that I will not be able to understand the reality in which I live. My concern with war led me to the diaspora war, fought outside the borders of the land of Israel and marked by inconceivable Jewish acts of horror. The belief that it was unjustified makes it a focal point for discussing war and the borders of Jewish culture of peace. The tendency to downplay the diaspora war amongst Jews and mostly Israelis underscores its importance for our dialogue. In focusing on it, I hope to challenge the justification of any and all wars. Arguing that the Jewish culture of war and fanaticism is not inherently tied to the life in the land of Israel, nor related only to security issues. I'm addressing the distinction between the elements of our culture that support the culture of peace and the fanatical, aggressive elements that we must confront. If we wish to transform our culture and the world's culture into one of peace and compassion, we must dig into its roots, establishing, for example, think about ministries of peace affairs in every country. Sowing seeds of peace, like Rabban Yochanan, the son of Zakkai, did, and confronting the bigot roots of our culture courageously and honestly. And before saying Shabbat Shalom and thank you, I want to leave here something that I brought with me, a beautiful piece of art that was made by Yuval. Yuval lives in one of the kibbutzim surrounding Gaza Strip. This is a beautiful, beautiful piece of art that he made from woods in his area. Yuval's oldest brother, Yagev, was kidnapped by Hamas, and I was hoping to say when I'll stay here that he came home back, but he didn't. He is still in Gaza. So I want you, as you look at this beautiful piece, to pray for Yagev and for all the hostages, and for peace in the Middle East, and for peace for all of us, because there is enough place for all of us, and we should do the best to have peace. Thank you so much for having me here. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, Yeshkach.